All right. So I went over a bunch of stuff in the last video over this car that I kind of was, like I said, I always just like to point out the stuff that's done wrong so that you know what you're looking for when you see things that were done incorrectly, and I like to show you what you have to do to fix it. So what this had turned into, other than being a timing belt replacement, is now at this point with everything that's going to need to be fixed. We're pulling the big turbo kit off because there's no supporting mods, and the money in the budget isn't there to get everything for the supporting mods and fix everything. So that's coming out. We do have the old engine now that was pulled out of this, that was swapped. So we're going to be swapping the stock exhaust manifold over, which is cool. It has a 3-inch elbow, and it also has a blue plate, so we're probably going to be doing that, and an external wastegate. Not only that, we're going to have, hopefully, good timing covers to replace the ones that were damaged from the belt walking out and damaging it. You know, you can see we basically cut into this one here pretty good. It's still kind of usable, but if the other ones are nicer, we're going to use those. I'm sure there's some other damage that was caused by that. I did find that some of this wiring here was actually rubbing on the fan. So we have wires 8 through here, amongst other things that I'm going to find. Basically, like I said, this went from a timing belt job to we're pulling the motor out and we're going over everything that's in here and we're making this one right. We're eliminating this other wiring. We're going to put an OEM horn in here and yeah, not use zip ties. We're going to get these brackets straightened out. What is this? What is down here? There's a, what is that? That's a ground wire on the front of the cylinder head. I don't know why that's there. What is this? Here we go. This was down underneath there. Some of these, like I said, you know, so much stuff was done just wrong. Like that hose is like split, so that end's no good. So there's just, we're going to go in here, we're pulling everything out of here, we're draining everything, and we are pulling the engine out and going to go over everything and get it prepped for a correct install. We're going to address everything that needs to be done and get it in, and then pick at everything else. We are getting some new parts. Wheel wells are coming. We're going to straighten this course powered out like I'd said. We got side markers coming because they painted them in the car. We're installing a new washer bottle so that we have this that will state pat. You know, we need everything to work, and this thing's going to need to pass our local state inspection. We have new intake gasket. We have new exhaust manifold gasket. New new axle gaskets. New exhaust gaskets. And I'm sure we're going to need a lot more. So if you want to hang on for this ride, this one's going to be a busy one. Here, getting ready to unplug the fuel injectors, and I found this. Not that I think it would matter, but the fact that your fuel rails bounce around like that is not something I want to see. So, wow. Alright, but yeah, we got a lot of stuff off. Axles are out. We got a nice pile of parts over here started. So, yeah. Alright, yesterday we finally got to the point where we had everything pulled out. I just want to go over everything and see if there's anything that, try to remember from yesterday if there was anything that I've seen that is definitely bad that we're going to have to address here and try to fix. Where's it at? It looks like we're going to need this because it's bent down there. It's bent here. So I'm not sure what someone was trying to do there with that. There was... This is the wrong bolt. This one here was actually... This bolt here was loose. I said we're tearing everything apart, going over everything, and yeah, just you can see more now. I'm gonna pull this off, and then we'll see if it actually left an indentation in the tensioner, and I'll show you guys that. So right now, other than tearing everything apart, Okay, what else? This thing here, for some reason this stuff here is leaking, so we're going to be pulling this aftermarket one off and putting one in there that's going to be good. You could see there was a little bit of damage done to the mount from not grinding these tabs off right here. Okay. What else? We will be putting a bolt in here. It looks like the threads are good. This is the wrong one, so we're going to be swapping that one out. All these threads over here look pretty good. It's this hit something and wore somewhere, so I'm not quite sure what's going on there. We're going to bend that back down. I think I said that before. Shifter cables look like they're okay. The heat shield looks like it was okay. There was no, you can see just a little bit of running that this thing did. There was no gasket here on this connected to the downpipe at all. No gasket. I still got to kind of try to figure out what I'm going to do here. This is actually spinning on the shaft, so I got to figure out what to do with this, and then we'll get this bracket straightened out and get it connected so that at least it holds the computer correctly. You know, just trying to make sure that everything, the way this bolt was in here, it's actually got this bent here just a little bit, so I'll probably grind this edge off and redust that with some paint. We're probably going to remove like the unknown wiring right here, so we're going to try to get rid of some of that just in case it might cause some problems down the road. It looks like we got something that looks like a zip tie going to that, and then there's something running across over here. So just more and more just bad modifications, bad stuff done. It was installed. We have new wheel wells on the way and a couple other things, so we'll get this thing together. I'll show you. We're gonna see. Not only that, I think what I'll do is I'll get the bolt that was holding that in, and then I'm gonna put that plate on just as it is so you guys can see just how far it was coming through the back of that plate. Okay, there we go. You can see just how hard that bolt was pushing in against that tensioner. And like I said, that, look at that. I bet it broke it. It actually broke the plastic on that. We'll know more as soon as we get, you can see where the belt hits this metal here, and it just disintegrates it. But that right there, that's it. I might even have to cut that. I don't have to loosen this, but we need to get this whole bracket off. All right, if you hear that noise, we are trying to keep cool today. It's a little dark on this backside. We got everything off of here. We are swapping out the water pump, so we cleaned all that stuff up because we have a new kit. I just kind of threw these bolts back in here. The timing unit was actually, here's the water pump, there's junk laying in there from that motor sitting, actually busted right here. It actually cracked the ear off of it, and you can actually see just how bad that is. It's got the bolt damaged and stuff here, and here's the old tensioner. So we got all that stuff pulled off. We just installed the new front seal. I'm sure it was probably okay, but we did not want to take any chances. There was just so much just run back in behind there, as far as timing belt pieces and stuff. So I mean, whoever put this on, they used silicone down wrong here on the wool pump. We're not pulling that off. That's not something we're going to mess with. We got everything off the back here. The old turbo is removed. We're working on pulling the other manifold. We got to get these lines cleaned up so that stuff can go back on. We're actually at the point of starting to reassemble things, so I'm going to work on getting the water pump installed, and then I got to get the timing covers cleaned up. We'll get them installed. The tensioner has to go on before that, so we'll have that on. And like I said, when I do that, I usually run a bolt in here to center out the water pump, and then when I do my tensioner, and I lock this down. I always make sure I run the long one in up here so that it holds it in place. I do have to find a bolt to go in here, and then we're going to work on getting everything addressed back here, including getting the bracket that supports this hose, the exhaust manifold, and all of the lines in, and getting this turbo up and going. I think the other motor that we're sourcing parts from has a nicer oil pressure sensor. This one here looks like it's leaking pretty good, so we'll swap those out also, and we'll be one more step closer to getting this thing. Like I said, we are going to be separating the transmission and doing some sealing on that, because that sucker's leaking too. All right, so we got everything cleaned up here. The timing belt's on, everything's lined up where it's supposed to be. We got the one bolt in that needed to go there. We're working on getting everything here. If you take notice, we got the other stuff switched over. You can kind of see everything that's got the new blue. Now, what I'm doing here now is this is where the center mount bolt comes through right here. Now, all I have right now access to myself is the factory style one, and a washer that's similar, because I don't know where the ones are that are supposed to come with this. It's supposed to be an Allen head bolt similar to this with a large flat washer. Okay, that's what goes on here. Now, this one here on this plate, I also have it ground down so that the mount fits correctly, and it doesn't get damaged by the parts that are sticking out. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this one off, because this is one I'm installing on the engine, and I'm going to show you what the other one looked like and how far out the bolt's sticking. Alright, so you can see I have the tabs ground off here. This is the one I just showed you. Alright, now this is a bolt that was in there. Alright, you can see how much farther this thing's sticking through the bracket. You can see we have a little bit of a space down there because the tabs are still on. That bolt actually is supposed to run through the bottom here of this, and this is installed onto here like so. Okay, so it has to come through all of this, through this bracket, okay, and then into our transmission, and that's what holds that in. I don't know how it ended up getting installed here. All right, so we got the transmission separated because we're going to be replacing this because it has damage. And I noticed that we have a whole lot of rubbing on here. There is no pins here in the motor, so we'll probably switch those alignment pins over if they're in the other motor. And we took a look over here at our clutch fork, and you can see that this was coming out too far hitting. So let's pull this out of here. Well, we had no lubrication inside of our throwout bearing. That's a no-no. That's a long-term gonna cause you problems. This thing does not want to come out of here. Anyway, we did, for some reason, there's some issues here why this is hitting the clutch fork. Something was pushed out too far. I'm gonna need 2 hands to pop this thing off of here to double check this fork. All right, so the clutch fork is junk. We are going to need a clutch fork. So other than that, and needing to reseal some stuff, more and more problems, guys, more and more. All right, so we're getting the bolts off here for the modular clutch. They're stripped. There's no new Loctite. These 3 of these came out by hand. I didn't even have to work hard to get them out. And then when we popped this off, this is what we found. So kind of curious to see here if we have a damaged crank, and might not even be using this engine. What an amazement. Well, I guess we're going to try to pick that out of there to see what we got going on.